Ladies and gentlemen, this very moment has arrived. So this is the moment when we have to talk about results and about our future. Let's have a side back, because we've had more than 3,500 events in 116 municipalities in 3 countries. We had over 500 partners with whom we worked together. We won numerous prizes from the beginning, from the opening ceremony, via several other awards to our special prizes. For example, Rutner House was reconstructed, and we had Ecos Prix. We had lots of publications around our events, more than 1,000 publications. And yes, we were present in numerous countries to speak about us. So I could go on. What about our results? We have lots of them. We are grateful for that. But I do think that we should have a different perspective also whenever it comes to analyze how many people came to visit us, how many nights were spent in our cities, for example. So in order to have a better analysis, I do think that we should go back to the moment when we had set our objectives, what we thought beforehand, what we wanted to achieve, what we saw as problems to resolve. Because, yes, whenever it comes to this title, well, first of all, we have to have some objectives, targets, and problems analyzed. So that's what we did. And yes, we are a capital of a region without a real region. Isolation, for example, that was our big problem, and competitions between several thousand cities. So these were our initial thoughts and, let's say, problems. So I do think that the outcome is just great, because yes, we had beforehand really big competition in order to gather people to our programs in the region, and we managed to work together with 116 municipalities. So it's just a great result in itself. Cooperation is a great result. And yes, some micro-regions are even more active nowadays than they were before, thanks to the lessons learned while cooperating. For example, there is a festival, film festival, which has been organized by 4 cities, and it's going on. I do think it is just great. So we did what we could in order to bring cities and partners together. Of course, it was just, let's say, on the kickoff. We shall go on cooperating. And we have also our built heritage. Very often for us, it's not an opportunity, but this is a problem. But we wanted to have a different mentality about our built heritage. And we have several very good examples how to have a switch in our mentality. For example, we worked in our synagogue in Veszprém-Balaton in order to create a new community place. For example, this very building where we are today, well, it used to be one of the building of our hospital, but the state of it was completely different. You've got the pictures before and now. We managed to find very important functionalities to these buildings, and we do hope that these great results will give hope how to reuse our old built heritage. What about regional mobility? Well, of course, we thought that great, we are really near to our capital city. It is not that difficult to come to our city. That's okay, but we also saw that, well, infrastructure, it's okay for some big destinations, but not at the micro-regional level. So we thought that, yes, we would work in order to create better regional mobility. And of course, we started with community transportation. That is why we signed some contracts with some public transportation companies, and I do think that is how we could connect better people, and also we could have just go to the direction of sustainable development. University, very important for us, because we wanted to install some kind of an environmental awareness in our thinking. So that is why we needed high-level awareness by implicating, for example, universities.
We had several programs such as the reusable cup washing program, and I think that we have laid the foundation for horizontal objectives. And also in this region, we managed to plan this kind of approach, not only with such practical projects, but also with soft projects such as the Balatonium, where scientists and artists were working together to draw attention to the vulnerability of Lake Balaton. Cultural innovations. We also thought that when we were writing the program, that we have something to learn from Europe. For example, how we could involve in cultural life areas and spaces that are unusual, such as in the region, for example, we have a lot of monasteries, forests, fort ruins, and castle ruins involving the forests or industrial facilities. We wanted not to see them as a problem, but as an opportunity. We managed to implement several such programs, and the small settlements that joined the programs also realized that many times they didn't know how valuable spaces they had, and we managed to create interesting atmospheres that could be interesting also outside the borders of their village. Cultures and tourism seasonality and overcoming this seasonality. We feel the seasonality, but there's a sentence that hits our heart, that we view culture as a tourism product. It's not part of our everyday life, but we only have cultural performances to attract tourists. We thought this cannot stay this way, and of course the seasonality has been a problem for a long time around Lake Balaton, and for each tourism area the situation is the same. So we try to take steps to overcome this. We don't think that we can resolve this by ourselves, but for example with the Marcali and around Marcali, the puppet dancing, Bethlehem, for example, and we have the classical music festival that were very good examples. In the PyTop program, we wanted to have access from the locals to culture throughout the whole year. It's also important because the local communities are strengthened this way and settlements can be more resilient this way, and this seasonality can be overcome more if the locals continuously organize programs. And in our cult network program, we wanted to address the local creative communities and familiarize them with the community and help them to be bravely organizing cultural events outside the season because they will find their audience. We wanted to make sure about that. Community building, that was one of our most important objectives, that we wanted to connect neighborhoods. We wanted to help to strengthen the identity of the different urban areas in Veszprém. And last year, I think one of the most uplifting programs for everyone was that almost 4,000 people were sitting at the same table, and this symbolized Veszprém and Bakony-Balaton regions' coherence and cooperation. And that was such a good feeling that we received a lot of requests this year to keep this program, and it was a great pleasure in 2024 to organize it again with such a high participant number and sitting at the table. Although this is an event where besides the table there's no such big production, anything else, so the experience was just talking to each other and people at the table spending a nice afternoon together with their food that they brought from home. So I think this is one of the most beautiful symbols of how neighborhoods can be filled with life, and also that urban parts of Veszprém received their identities on this day. All the parts of Veszprém represented themselves, and within the city there were communities formed, and I think the city is strengthened. The residents' identity is strengthened as well. This identity that we wanted to help, and their bonding to Veszprém and the region, we wanted to help. So I think that if someone knows their values and they can love what they know, and we help them to love again and be proud again of what they have, I think this good feeling that fills them these times is radiating outside as well. And we know that if someone feels good, it's good to be around them, and other people are happy to be around them as well. And it's true for places as well. Helping the spirit of volunteering. Volunteering was very important in the cultural programs, and in Hungary we say that volunteering is not part of our culture, just like cooperation. And we thought that we have a lot to do in this area. In Veszprém, we set up our volunteer program, and we were very happy that more than 500 people joined our volunteer base, and they are willing to help any program now. But we had to see also that volunteering in small settlements was completely insensible, because in small settlements everything was based on volunteering, so programs could only be implemented there with volunteers. So I think that was a great feedback also for the announcers and publishers of the program of European Culture Capital, because it was very important to notice that we need the volunteers. And if we say we have 500 volunteers, that's just the number of registered volunteers. We had much more people who volunteered and helped us to implement the program. So I would like to thank all the volunteers in the whole region for their contribution. Never Again Boring Tuesday in Veszprém and it's a problem also in Veszprém and in other cities and settlements as well, that in the boring autumn and winter days, there's no cultural hustle and bustle, and the people don't have anything to do. And at the same time that shopping malls appeared, we see that shops became empty in the historical downtowns, and we tried to reverse this process. I think we were very successful. Due to the telecom data, we know that in 2023, 1.6 million people visited the historical downtown. So this program worked. Veszprém, UNESCO music city, the city of music. More than 40% was the share of music programs, but we didn't want to stop at organizing beautiful concerts. We wanted to have long-term programs until 2030, and we wanted Veszprém to be the city where most people, where there's the highest number of people playing music. And we are not talking about playing music only, but also singing or drumming together. And we put together a center called Hangar, which was an alternative music center where even older people could start realizing their dreams and starting to play the drums, or providing rehearsal rooms for amateur bands. And we wanted to provide places and locations for music, because we are convinced that people who play music, they are happier. We wanted to get rid of thinking small and dreaming big. We wanted to dream big. I think that's true for the whole program. So I think that we managed to pull this off. However, we opened our digital experience center, which we are opening in the second part of the year, called Code. I think there's no bigger proof that we left our lack of self-confidence behind, because lots of people asked, what does this center have to do in a city with only 60,000 people? And we said, yes, we will be able to operate it, because we are not only targeting tourists, we are not only expecting tourists to this center, but a cultural creative hub. We want to create a laboratory that will attract international artists as well. We wanted to create a creative hub for the region and bring to the surface the deeper creativity from the region, and to put it into the service of the city in this digital melting pot. And yes, our goal was to put Veszprém and the Veszprém-Balaton region on the cultural map of Europe, and I think we have made very good steps towards that. However, we also know that this work is not over yet, and we also know how we move on, and the knowledge and experience that we have gathered and accumulated, we want to use. I think this is all of our responsibility, how we move forward, and I want to ask everyone to support these processes and to take these processes together to move forward and think for the interests of Veszprém and the region and do our best. Thank you for your attention.